I was listening to the story about, it was the story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the cowboy man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I am your host, Wayne, joined as always by my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Not too much. I have a tickle in my nose, and I was trying to get it before the thing came.
You were picking your nose.
Was that I was rubbing it, dude? Watch the replay. I was not picking my nose in. Nothing much. Nope. My grandbaby's over here.
Yeah, I heard that. What you told him? Which one is it?
It's Parker.
Parker. That's right. I want to say Peyton for some reason.
No, we don't have a Peyton. He's this mini.
He's that mini. That's awesome.
He came over like a dirty little boy should, because they were out playing basketball, and he had like dirt all over his face, and she said, "Mom, he's gonna need a shower." You think?
A dirty kid is a happy kid.
Mm-hmm.
That is the truth.
But he said he was glad to be taking a break from his brothers, because when they're all together, there's 7, but it was just 6 of them this weekend. So
7.
I looked at her fiance and I said, I'm really surprised you don't drink. And he said, well, the only reason I don't drink is because I'm allergic to it, because he breaks out in hives and you just can't drink.
Oh, Lord. 7 kids. And what's the age range?
Her youngest just turned 2. So it goes 2 all the way up the line to 7, because I think Logan just turned 7. So it's just a year. 7
kids under the age of 7.
Yep. 7 kids, 7 and under. Mm-hmm.
That's suicide. Why would anybody do that?
Yeah, because she has 4 of her own, and then when she and Daryl got together, he has 3 boys, and yeah, his youngest is 4. So,
all right, let's move on. That's giving me anxiety just thinking about it. Well, speaking of our children, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my oldest, Christopher. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. I love you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that is Cece's daddy.
Did you take him to the Brazilian steakhouse? Is that what it is?
I've got to make, it's Rodizio Brazilian Steakhouse. I got to make the reservations, but it's happening next weekend, I think. Because he was covered up this weekend, but the awesome thing about that restaurant is you have a 14-day grace period from your birthday. So 14 days before, 14 days after, you can go and get a free meal. So I think that's awesome.
Awesome. More pineapple on the pole.
That's
Cute.
right. Oh, and Robert Matler is in here. What's up, buddy? Robert had a birthday back
Yes, he
on
did.
April 2nd, which was my dad's birthday. So happy late birthday to my dad and Robert. Robert turned the big 5-0.
Big fat. Oh, yeah, I
Doesn't-
told him happy birthday. And guess who else's birthday? I just freaking love birthdays. Like everybody's birthday is like clustered together. It's Dewey's birthday today. He's 73.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, his birthday's today?
Today. Sure
He
enough.
shares it with Christopher. Wow.
Yep.
Happy birthday, Dooster.
Yeah. He'll be on Tuesday, so we'll have to be sure to tell him. I told him on Facebook, but
I don't guess I'm friends with him, or I didn't see the notification one. I don't know.
it's all right.
But anyway, birthdays are awesome. So, yeah, if you got a birthday coming up, let us know and we'll tell you.
Yeah, look, you got happy birthdays all over the place.
Mm-hmm. What do you say we pay some bills and get to our patiently waiting Mr. Daniel backstage?
Let's do this thing.
Guys, if you are new to the show, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before you leave, please hit that subscribe button. Help us continue to grow the show.
And if you would like to be on with Wayne and I, you can reach out to us as always, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com, and we will get you on.
Paranormalworldproductions.com is our website. We invite everyone to head over there, check it out, pick up some merch, sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter, check out the other shows under the studio's umbrella, all of that amazing stuff over at paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions for tonight's guest, if you would just put them in all capital letters, I highlight them throughout the show. We do a rapid fire Q&A at the end, and I will snatch them and highlight them if they're capitalized.
Manimalresearch.org is the website for the organization that I founded back in 2019. Manimal Research. We get out and do investigations. We just received a new lead from East Tennessee that we will be checking up on sometime within the next couple of weeks. We got to nail down a definite time. But yeah, we do stuff like that. We have private campouts. We do one big campout a year that's open to the public. Just all kind of cool stuff. If you think you have Bigfoot activity going on in your property, you need somebody to come check it out. We would love to be the ones that you trust to do that. Head over to manimalresearch.org if you want to pick up some of our merch. We got some pretty cool stuff over there. But yeah, please check out the website. You're muted, madam.
Fudge candy. As always, our memberships are always open. It's only $1.99 a month. Less than a Coke, less than peanuts, less than beef jerky. I mean,
Oh, that's so much less than beef jerky. My God.
oh
Have you
my
bought beef
God,
jerky?
like, yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyways,
Jesus.
we are way more affordable than the recent jerky pricing has gone up. So yeah, I mean, just go on to YouTube. It should be beside the subscribe button. Click the join button. You get access to so many great things. I list it every week. Discord, members onlys, the whole gamut. Just $1.99 a month.
Guys, we talk about everything on the show. Beef jerky, price, inflation. We cover it all. Mr. Alex Schmidt there says it's the best $1.99 I spend every month. And I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
He also says spend that or his giant dog will eat your face.
And a membership doesn't get caught in your teeth. Exactly.
There you go. All right, guys. Lastly, down at the bottom, you notice that subscribe button. That's not the right one I want to talk about. There you go. The Venmo and Cash App is open. That's something we've been asking you guys to help us out with instead of the super stickers that you're always awesome with. The reason we do that is we aren't hit with near the fees, and we get that right away if you do the Cash App or the Venmo. Go through YouTube. They do take out quite a bit of fees, which is fine. I understand. Got no problem with it. But you also got to wait a month. So it's just easier if you guys, it's easier on us. It helps us out more if y'all can do it that way. Do it whichever way you want. We love your support and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
100%.
All right. We got through that quick. I like that.
Yes.
You're happy, aren't you?
I'm telling you, when it was just me and I had Daniel on the very first time, I was in and done in 6.5 minutes, and he was on screen with me.
Oh, sweet.
No.
Nice. Well, you already let the cat out of the bag of who we got backstage.
Yep.
Tell everybody who we got waiting.
Mr. Daniel Hamilton. This is his part 3. And as I put on Facebook today, how much more stuff could he have? Oh my gosh, guys, you have no idea how much more this guy has. So I'm so excited to bring him back for the 3rd time to talk about his treasure trove of experiences that he has that he's going to share with us.
Awesome. Yeah, this dude is really, really cool. I have enjoyed having him on. He, like Tiffany said, the first time he was on, I was out of town, so she kicked it solo on that one. But I did get to hang out with him for a couple hours last time. And looking forward to another really good show with a really cool guy. We're going to get him out. Mr. Daniel, what's up, buddy?
Greetings and salutations, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, friend. How are you?
Hey, friend. Hey, Mr. C. Wayne. The first time I was on with her, bro, it took her like 2.5 hours to get all the bill paying done. I got like 15 minutes of screen time. No, I'm just kidding.
You lie like a dog.
Oh my goodness. How you guys been?
Good.
Hey, happy birthday to your son, and happy birthday to everybody in the chat that's had a birthday. Again, hey, can I do something for them real quick?
Oh, yeah, do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all that have a birthday. Happy birthday to you.
That's sweet.
That's what we do on our lives, me and Josh.
I was kind of expecting a little Marilyn Monroe happy birthday, Mr. President.
Nope. Sorry, sir. I got too much chin hair to pull that off. So
yeah.
Plus, I don't have my ruby red lipstick on. So
I'll let you borrow mine.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. We brought you back because 2 episodes wasn't enough. What you got in store for us tonight, buddy?
Well, I didn't I didn't write down anything that I was talking about. I know I told you some of my ghost encounters. I think I told you, maybe 1 or 2 of my Sasquatch encounters. I'm not really sure which ones I told you. I think I told you my first sighting of the female.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys have heard me say it, just stop me. I know I've got a few more ghost stories that I've dealt with. I've only had as many things as I've encountered. I've only seen 1 UFO. That's back in 87, I want to say 87, 88 time. No, 88, 89 time frame. So I was a junior in high school when that happened. But you want me to kick off with a ghost, or?
I want to hear about Myrtle and Irene, please.
Listen. All right. Okay, you guys. So this took place in I want to say it was Huntington, West Virginia. I was just a kid when we were living there. And my mom and my grandmother, they worked at the same nursing home. We only had 1 car. So what would happen is my mom would drive. My grandmother then would take the car home. And then someone would go pick my mom up or my grandmother up. But, quite a few times I would ride with my Nana. To this day, even though she's been gone since 95, my Nana is one of the most amazing women I've ever known in my life. She's definitely one of the cornerstones of the foundation that helped me grow up, be the man that I am today. My Nana, my great granny, my mom. You guys have special people in your lives. Hold on to them as long as you can, and let them know that you appreciate them, and listen to
Yep.
them, because they will definitely they'll teach you about life without having you sit down and feel like you're getting a lecture. So when I was a kid, they used to work at this nursing home, and like I said, I would ride to and from with my mom or my grandmother, whichever one was their shift. And one day when I was there, this day I remember that it was my mom, and she was going on shift. My nana was coming off shift, so to stay out of the way, I was sitting off in like this little like sitting room area, right? And I'm sitting there, and this lady comes up to me, a resident. And so she comes over, she kind of sits next to me. She's like, "Well, what's your name?" Now, back in the day, I was called by my nickname. Okay, Tony. My middle name's Anthony. So I said, "Well, my name's Tony." And she's like, "Oh, it's such a beautiful name. Are you here visiting your grandma, your grandpa?" I go, "No." I said, "My mom and my nana work here, and I'm going to go home with my nana." Who's your nana? And I said, "Oh, my nana's right over there. And my nana's over by the desk, the reception desk, I guess." And, "Well, who's your mom?" And I go, "Oh, my mom's name is Brenda." Okay. So we sat there, we chatted for a couple minutes, and I get up and I say, "Bye." My nana says, "Hey, come on, let's go." So I follow out with my nana. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" And I go, "I was talking to that lady over there." She's like, "Oh, okay." So we go home, nothing about it. Now this goes on back and forth for, easily months. And every time that I'd go, and I'd probably ride with them maybe 2 or 3 times. I'd go during the week. And each time I would see this lady, and her name was Myrtle. And so we sat there and we talked and we talked. Well, one day, this other lady, Myrtle, I see Myrtle walking towards me with this other lady named Irene. And I didn't know her name was Irene at the time. So I go, she's like, this is my friend Irene. And Irene goes, "Well, how old are you?" And I told her, and "What's your name?" And I said, "Tony." "Oh, he's such a dear. Look at him. He's such a nice boy." And it's like, and you guys, I kind of get choked up when I tell a story, because it's like I had 2 more grandmothers, and it was so real that, I was talking with him, and I draw them pictures, and they asked how I was doing in school, and they told me how much they loved my grandmother and my mom, and they were such nice people. And I remember one day I sat down in this little waiting area, and I colored them pictures, and we just sat there and we talked. And this went on for, like I said, a few months. Well, my mom got a better job. She was able to afford a car. And I remember the last time I saw them, and I said, "Hey, my mom got a new job, so I probably won't be coming back here anymore. So I just want to say goodbye." And I gave you guys another picture. Here's another picture. "Oh dear, that's so wonderful. We're gonna miss seeing you, but have a great time. And it was so nice that you visited with us, and you just made us so happy. We looked forward to seeing you when you would come." And so, that was Myrtle and Irene. So as I got older, I moved back and forth from my mom and my dad. And one day I was talking with my mom and talking. We were visiting my nana back in Western. We were living in Tennessee at the time. And I go, "Mom," and Nana, we started talking, and I don't know how we got on the subject of the nursing home. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you remember those old ladies I used to talk about?" And my nana goes, "Oh, what do you mean old ladies?" And I go, "Well, like the older ladies that were there." And Myrtle and Irene. I said, "I know they've probably since passed away." And I said, "But yeah, dude, it was so fun going there." And they both looked at me. They just had this look on their face, like what? And like, what do you mean, Myrtle? I said, well, yeah, I remember I told you I used to talk with them, and they're like, well, it's not possible. I go, well, no, it is possible. And I described them. And my mom just looked at me, and my nana, she's like, honey, she goes, you couldn't have talked to Myrtle and Irene. I go, what do you mean? He goes, because they weren't alive when you came and visited. They had passed away like months and months and months before. And they told me
that's the shit right there that gives me goosebumps.
It's funny because they would tell me, they sat down, they would tell me, we would, your mom would come home, and we'd have coffee in the morning, and we would talk like, yeah, I saw Myrtle last night. I saw her come out of her old room, and she walked down the corridor, and she went into a couple of residents' room, and she would visit them. And I guess that's what she used to do when she was alive, that she would get up in the middle of the night and she would go and visit other residents to make sure they were okay. And when Myrtle passed away, Irene was her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to do everything together. My mom and my nana used to tell me. And when Myrtle passed away, and again, these aren't Myrtle and Irene's real names, but those are the names I'm going to give them. They said they watched Irene decline.
Oh, wow.
Because, they really didn't have a lot of family that would come and visit them. The family that they had were way out of state. So that's all they had. They had each other. And probably about a month and a half, 2 months after that, Myrtle passed away, Irene passed away.
Oh, wow.
And then they would see Myrtle and Irene walk in the corridors, walking into like the common areas. And it wouldn't, it would be sometimes during the day, but mostly it was late at night, on the swing shift or the mid shift. And that's my story of Myrtle and Irene.
That is wild. So what do you process in your brain when your mom and your nana say, well, honey, they're not alive?
Well, my first thing was I was in ninth grade when we were talking, and I'm like, shut up. No, it didn't happen. Oh, no, it did not happen. I don't believe you guys. No, like for real, it happened. And my mom and my nana would have no reason to lie to me.
Right.
So, I mean, I believed them.
That's wild.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, Annie. I told you
Yep.
about Annie, and I didn't realize, she'd passed away until I was a senior in high school, and then my mom told me.
I think it's really cool though that you have this ability. I don't know if you want to call it an ability to, and it could, you were young in both instances, that could have had something to do with it. But you're able to have this, conversation with these spirits, and you know them, and you were coloring pictures for them. Like, were they touching the pictures that you were?
I don't really remember, but I can honestly say that I don't ever really remember like hugging them or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, I might have felt like I was. I really don't really remember.
Mm-hmm.
But
so there were never any complaints about the weird kid sitting in the corner talking to himself.
I don't know. I honestly, look, we're taking third or fourth graders or fifth graders. Okay, but I don't know. And you're right. If you think about it, it's weird. If anybody truly saw me, sitting in that little room, sitting at the table and talking and coloring, they thought maybe I was just talking to myself and coloring for myself, but, and I mean, it's, I wish I could say that some of the paranormal stuff that I've experienced, it was all scary, but it wasn't. I mean, I've had one really scary, one that stopped me in my tracks and made me close my eyes and start saying the Lord's Prayer and rebuking what I was seeing, in the name of Jesus.
Okay, well, what the hell was that?
So y'all have heard of the Hat Man, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
So
No,
He's
I'm
not
watching.
behind you.
I'm watching your back, buddy.
okay, I'm just making sure. So
Hey, who's that guy with a hat on behind you?
yeah, nice try. Nice try. What I got sitting next to me is not going to handle that guy. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, I should have put my Bible down here, but I don't. But anyway, so I heard this really weird noise one night, and this is in the house that I'm living in now. And down our hallway, you go down our hallway. At the very end of our hallway is my bedroom, my wife and I's bedroom. Directly, the last door on the right is my son's bedroom. The last door on the left is the bathroom. Now, my wife, no, our bedroom has an adjoining door to the bathroom that we always keep locked. Because I got an 8-year-old grandson who likes to sneak into our room and look for presents. So we have to keep that door locked. And I just heard this really weird noise. And being security minded like I am, I hear this noise. I immediately grab my pistola and I slowly creep down the hallway. And I don't understand why we had the amount of light we had coming in. I think the best thing is it's probably from our security light outside shines up into the house a little bit. But as you walk down the end of the hall or down our hallway towards like the living room, directly to the left is stairs going downstairs because we have a split level. Right across from the stairs is the kitchen. You go out into the living room and then the dining room. Now I had a chair that, every man has their own chair. Well, I have my chair and it's sitting in the corner. And if I'm sitting in the chair, I can look right, like partially down the hallway. So as I'm walking down the hallway, I look over I don't know why, but I just looked over and I saw something sitting in my chair. And I'm looking at it and then it stands up. And it was tall. And I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, but I look at it and it just dawns on me. I'm looking at what they call the Hat Man. And I close my eyes and I just start saying the Lord's Prayer. And I say, with the power of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you. You're not welcome here. Leave these premises. You're not allowed to attach yourself to anybody or anything in my house. Any of my friends or visitors, stay away, go away. You are not welcome in this house. I rebuke you. And I said the Lord's Prayer again. I said this, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. I was saying this, and I opened my eyes and it was gone.
Yeah, because those accounts are frightening because they all say the same thing, right? It's super tall, like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it's just blacker than black.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like there was no light. I mean,
Yeah, it's like it's devoid of light.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
darker than black.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just did not. I mean, it made it look even blacker than it, probably was because the walls at the time were white.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it stood, my chair's a light colored chair. So, I mean, I'm looking at this black mass thing sitting in this chair, and then it stands up, and there's the form, there's the figure, and I was just like, holy, mother. I mean, and I had it in my hand. I just literally this chill came over my entire body. And all I knew is I needed to pray. And I prayed, and I haven't seen it back in this house since.
Good.
At all. Now, I've continued to hear things in the house. During COVID, I worked from home for like 2.5 years in this very office. And just going down this way, I'm underneath the dining room. On this other wall is my daughter's bedroom, and she's below the living room, and in between ours is the hallway that goes all the way out. It goes all the way back to our bedroom. Well, one day I'm sitting here working, and the type of work that I do, I have to be 100% focused, because if I mess one thing up, I can lose our company millions of dollars. And so I've, sitting here just focusing on doing what I'm doing. And all of a sudden I hear something sprint from like our bedroom all the way down the hallway, around the living room, around the dining room, back into the back down the hallway. And then I hear a door slam. And it's not like I'm hearing a distant door slam. It's like I'm hearing a door slam right next to my ear. And I'm like, what the is that? And so I'm sitting there for a second. I'm trying to comprehend what's going on. And again, I grab my little buddy and I walk upstairs. And I'm now in full hyper awareness mode. I'm thinking there's someone in my house because my daughter was at work, my wife was at work, and someone's about to have a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
So I go immediately back into military mode, and I'm clearing areas as I'm walking. I'm watching up the stairs. I turn back around and I'm looking up as I'm backing up the stairs. I'm checking up. Get to the top of the stairs. I'm down on my knees. I'm tactically peeking around the corner. I'm looking every way. And I turn lights on as I'm going in each room. There was not a closed door in my house. All the doors down the hallway, bathroom door was open. My son's door was open. Our bedroom door was open.
Typical? Do y'all leave doors open?
Yeah, we leave our doors open.
Okay.
Even at night when we sleep, I leave our door cracked open just a little bit, and it's just out of habit because a lot of times we have our grandsons over. And if we need to hear them for whatever reason, we're up and in the other room. But normally we keep our doors open during the day. And there was no door closed at all. But when that door slammed, it's like something, it sounded like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
With all of its strength, just slamming a door. Now, I'm not saying it sounded like a Bigfoot running up and down the hallway. It sounded like a regular sized person hauling butt down my hallway. I've also heard him run up and down my stairs. Now, if you go out my office window or office door, turn to your left, 2 steps is the stairway.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard something go brrr, 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 up and down the stairs. And I'm like, are you? It happened so many times that I just didn't even bother with it anymore. I'm like,
you become desensitized to that. And I know that feeling. I know that feeling because that happened to me here.
Yeah.
Somebody came up the steps. The dogs were outside. Carrie was asleep in her room, but it was clear footsteps running up the steps that are right up by our bedroom. Nobody.
I remember coming home one day. This is after we had started going back to the office. So this happened a couple of years ago. And I came home and my daughter's car was in the driveway, which wasn't unusual. And I come in the door and usually she's upstairs. And I'm like, hey, I'm home. What are you doing? And I hear her go, Dad. And I'm like, I go, where are you? Dad. I go, yeah. Dad. I go, yeah, what? What do you say to me when you can't find me? Because we have a code word.
Mm-hmm.
When she was little, I go, oi. She's like, okay, Dad, come down to my room real quick. Because now she had me freaking out. So I go downstairs and I knock on her door. And she's like, Dad. I go, oi. And she goes, so I open up the door and she's standing by her bed. She's got her baseball bat in one hand and my hunting knife in another one.
All right.
And I'm like, whoa. She's like, Dad. And she is terrified. I'm like, what's going on? She goes like, Dad. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. She's like, Dad, I heard somebody talking in the house. Now we're in a kind of like a duplex kind of thing. Not single, it's like a shared home. We share a common wall with our neighbors. Our neighbors are awesome, but they weren't home either. They weren't home when I got home. And she's like, Dad, I heard people talking. I go, what do you mean? She goes, I heard people talking. And then I heard people walking around upstairs. And I go, what do you mean? She's like, Dad, it wasn't creaking of the house. It wasn't the wind blowing and making the house creak. She goes, Dad, it was footsteps. I heard footsteps.
We've all heard that muffled talking.
Yeah.
Every one of us, like someone talking in the next room, you can't make it out.
Yep.
We all know that sound.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's something she was mistaking.
No.
Right.
And so I said, well, I said, do you want me? She goes, Dad, please, will you just go look around? So I come in here and I open up my safe and I clear my house. And I'm like, there's nothing in here, kid. She's like, Dad, are you sure? I go, honey, there's nothing here. She's like, Dad. I said, okay. So I went and I got my Bible and I walked around in each room and around my house. And I said the Lord's name. No, I didn't say Lord's name. I said the Lord's Prayer. And, just said, hey, listen, you're not welcome. You're not welcome. Now, this house was this house was built in 1983. I don't really know a lot of history about this house. I moved in about 3 years after my wife bought the house. And I asked her, I said, did someone die in this house? She's like, well, I don't know. She goes, if they did, I wouldn't have bought the house. And that's how my wife is. I've wanted to stay at some really historic B&Bs. And she's like, nope, it's haunted. So whenever I see like an old house or an old hotel, we drive by it and I go, murder. And she goes, shut up. That's not funny, But, so I mean, yeah, that's some of the stuff that we've had. Like, I think I mentioned the last one, I was pulled off of my bed. Something grabbed my left ankle and yoked me off of my bed. And at the time
we didn't hear that story. No, we didn't hear that story.
So,
we got to now.
So I'm laying in bed and I suffer from insomnia. So if I get 2 hours of sleep a night, I feel lucky. And this is one of these nights that I was getting a good night's sleep. I remember going to bed at like 10:30 and all of a sudden about 1:15, it was a Friday night, Saturday morning, like at 1:15, I feel something grab my left ankle and pulled me up and off of my bed so violently that I actually flipped over and landed on my stomach, my chest, my face. At that time, I weighed over 400 pounds.
Oh, big boy.
And I'm like 315 now. So, but I hit the ground so hard that it woke my wife up. And all I did was I reached up, I grabbed my pillow and I pulled it off the bed. And I said I must have fell out of bed. I didn't want to alarm her. I've had my nickname, Tony. I've had it whispered in my ear while I'm sleeping. Our bedroom door, I've seen our bedroom door open, sit there for a second, and then slowly close. No air conditioner on, no heat on, no windows open, no cross breeze, slowly open, then slowly close. When I say we sleep with our door open, our door is cracked about this far, so maybe about 6 inches. Our bedroom, is right next to the bathroom. We have a night light in there for when we have our grandkids. I've seen that light 100 million times. If I wake up and I look out the crack in our door, a couple of times I've seen that light black out. Like it's there, something moves in front of it, and then it's gone. Then I see the light again. I've had my covers pulled off of me. And I'm thinking I think it's my wife pulling my covers off. And she's got covers on her. It's not pulled like off the side of me. It's pulled from the bottom of the bed.
Oh my God, that's how it always happens too.
Yeah. One of the weirdest things is I'll feel, or I haven't felt it in a long time, thank goodness.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, exactly. Knock on my head, but knock on wood. Where I'll feel like a hand get rubbed or dragged across the bottom of my bed and then grab my feet and then stop. Now, when that happens, now my wife has done that before. Not grabbing my feet, but she'll rub her hand because, it's in the middle of the night. You're sleepy. It's dark.
Yeah.
And so whenever that happens, I would reach over and see if my wife is there. Now, whenever my feet get grabbed, I reach to feel, and she's not there. I mean, she's there. My wife is laying right next to me. We have an oscillating fan in my room, and it's on like my side of the bed. And I don't have it oscillating. I don't like it blowing on my face. So it just kind of blows down like from my knees down, right? It's more just for noise. And if anybody's had an oscillating fan, there's like a button or a switch that you push down or pull up to get it to oscillate or to stop oscillating it. And it has a distinctive click.
Yes.
My fan has started oscillating on multiple occasions. Click, back and forth. And then there's been one time out of probably, I don't know, the dozen times that it's happened where each time I've gotten up and I've pushed the button or, pushed it down or pulled it up. I can't remember what it is to do it to stop it from oscillating. But there was one time when I got out of bed to do that and I heard it click and it stopped oscillating.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, get out of here.
That's just too much.
That is just dumb. So those are some of the stuff that's gone into my house. Anybody that's maybe watched me quite a few times, I always talk about my little brother. My little brother passed away in 2016. I've seen him in my house at the end of our hallway. And it's comforting to me because he's kind of looking out,
Right.
Did I tell you about my stepdad?
I don't think so.
So this one's kind of a rough one for me to talk about, but so in June of 2010, I was going to court for emergency custody of my daughter. I was going through a divorce. And so I slept downstairs in the basement. My room was completely dark blue paint, blacked out curtains. I like my room dark. It's kind of like a crypt. It's got to be dark and cool. I can sleep better. So I get on my knees and I pray, ask God to give me strength. And I want what's best for my daughter. I want to be selfish and ask him to let the judge rule in my favor so I can have my daughter with me. I want full custody. But I asked him to be fair and what was best for her and not best for me. I asked him to show me a book in the Bible or verse in the Bible that was, that was pertinent to what I was going through at the time. Closed my eyes. Now in my Bible, I've got pictures of my daughter. I've got letters that I've written to my daughter. So when I pass and she gets my Bible, she'll see that I wrote her letters when she was 2 and 4 and whatnot, so she's never seen these letters before. I've got ribbons of hers in there as place markers. So as I'm fanning through with my eyes closed, I stop, point, and it's a verse that's pertinent to what's going on. And I'm like, okay, you're showing me you're here. So I had everything laid out. I went to bed, rolled over. Now I'm facing the closet. The closet has mirrored closet doors. You can't see your hand in front of your face. The only way you know your hand's in front of your face is if you touch your nose. That's how dark it is in this room. And I'm not BSing you. It's that dark. You get that feeling when something, like the air in your room changes. Like you can feel something is just not right. The electricity or whatever, I don't know what to call it. but it just feels different, like something or someone just walked in the room.
Right.
And so I open my eyes and I'm facing the closet, and I'm seeing my chair that I have in there. I'm seeing my dresser. I'm seeing my computer desk. I'm seeing my computer, and there's a light source in my room. I'm like, what's going on? So I roll over. I see my stepdad.
Take your time, buddy. You're okay.
I see my stepdad standing next to my bed. One of the greatest men in my life. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm just here to let you know everything's going to be okay. It was so real that I stood up and I went to hug him.
Mm-hmm.
And as I felt him, and he just faded away. You know, and it's not all paranormal stuff, everybody, is scary. You know, it's really not. But it was so real to me, you know, that there was my dad. He was my stepdad, but he was in my life since I was 10. That's my dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Amen. Yes.
And so was my biological dad. I'm truly blessed to say I had two dads. I didn't have a dad who was absent and a stepdad that stepped in. I didn't have a mean stepdad, you know, and I had two men who took time in their lives to mold me into a man, you know, showing me different ways of life. Each had their own individual, you know, script or flavor, whatever you want to call it, on how to mold me into a man. Both gave me a very strong work ethic. Both gave me a passion for life and for the outdoors and how to be a man and how to love your children, how to love your wife, you know. The second time I saw my stepdad, I was coming home. I was a union steward at the time. And I was coming home from a meeting, and I had a 1996 Chevy Caprice Classic station wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that car. That car would move. And so I'm driving, and I get this overwhelming smell of Stetson cologne. And that's what my stepdad wore, was Stetson cologne.
Mm-hmm.
And I just smiled and I go, thank you. And I look in my rearview mirror and he's sitting in the back seat of my car.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And he's smiling at me. And I go, thanks, Dad. I just needed you. And I blew through a stop sign. And about 2 seconds later, I get lit up by Minneapolis Police Department. And I pull over, and it was a female officer. And she comes up to the car, and I'm just bawling. You know, like way worse than I am now. And she's like, "Sir, are you okay?" I go, "Yeah, I just saw my dad in the back seat." And she looks immediately. She looks in. She's like, "There's no one back there." I said, "I know. He was just here." And she's like, "Sir, have you been drinking?" And I go, "No, ma'am." I said, I just coming home from a union meeting. My dad passed away in 2003, and I was just having a bad day, and I just said that I needed him, and he showed up. And she was, "Are you sure you haven't been drinking?" I go, "No, ma'am, I haven't been drinking." And she was really cool. She stayed there with me for about 15 minutes and just let me talk about my dad. And then she followed me until I got to the highway and made sure I was okay. And yeah, so.
Yeah, you know what, Daniel, I'm sitting here, I'm listening to you, You talk about seeing your little brother that passed, your stepdad that was very influential in your life that you loved, him passing, and you getting to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people would say that's a blessing, including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Say that's a blessing. I don't know how I would take it because the people that have followed the show for a long time and people that my friends and family, close friends, know how close I was to my mother. I
Mm-hmm.
lost my mom in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
She died from cardiac arrest in the middle of the night. My dad got off work and he laid in bed with his dead wife for hours, not knowing she was dead. Calls me the next morning. She was supposed to babysit my son, and Dad couldn't get her up. So he called me. You're gonna have to come down here, help me watch Caden. I can't get your mom up. We're all thinking maybe she took too much medicine. I mean, she had done that before, like lost count of her dose.
Yeah.
Took too much and just was drowsy. So I get down there, and we only lived 30 seconds away. We lived on the same street.
Yeah.
I get down there, and they had slept with the window open that night. It was in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear my dad going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I run in there, and he's doing CPR on my mom in their bed.
Mm.
Like, what is going on? Have you called 911? And that's when I hear the 911 operator over speakerphone telling my dad what to do. Do you have someone there that can relieve you? Like, no, I'm fine. Well, you need to get her off the bed and onto the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I got mom's head, her shoulders. Dad got her feet. We picked her up off the bed, moved her to the floor. Dad was not going to let anyone else do CPR.
Mm-hmm.
He just kept doing it. We lost her.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when I got there, I looked at her, I knew
Yeah.
she was gone. She was kind of a blue and gray,
like ashen color.
Yeah. She was kind of stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew she was gone. I just didn't want to admit it. But she was gone. My mom was my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I was the last one to talk to my mom the night before because we lived 30 seconds away. I was there every day. Everybody's got that person in their life that they can go to and know that they can talk about anything and not be judged.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mom.
Yeah.
For me. And everybody loves their mom, but I mean, she was on a different level.
Yeah.
I could talk to her about anything. And there I am watching my dad. They were married for 37 years and he's doing CPR trying to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Ambulance gets there, loads her up, get to the hospital. They tell us, there's nothing else we can do. She's gone. Been gone for hours, basically.
Yeah.
That's how close I was to my mom. I'll never have another relationship like that.
No, you won't.
And if she was to come to me right now and walk through that door, I don't know what the fuck I would do.
No.
I don't know if I would get up and give her a hug. I don't know if I would scream. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
What does that say about me? I don't know.
Here's the and I mean, I don't mean this to be disrespectful or any way, shape, or form, but I don't think you've come to the grasp knowing, that you really don't want to truly accept the fact that she's gone. And that's how hard it is, for my brother. I've accepted that they're gone, but they're not really gone. As long as you talk to your mom, and if your kids ask questions about your grandma, don't be afraid to talk about her. Here's the thing. I haven't seen my mom. I've heard my mom. I've heard my mom whisper my name. I've heard my mom say certain things. Okay. My mom was in an induced coma. because her O2 levels in her blood was dropping, and they were trying. My mom suffered from COPD. She's a 3-time survivor of breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy, so it wouldn't come back. Luckily, it never spread to lymph nodes or anything like that. But she had other chronic illnesses, and her body was just crashing. And so they put her in an induced coma to give her body time to heal, so they could administer the medication, administer the procedures that they needed to try to correct what was going on as best they could. My mom was in an induced coma for 11 days. 11 days. Now, the last 4 of those 11 days, they tried multiple times every single day to wake her up.
Mm.
And she would not wake up. But she would respond. Brenda, squeeze our hand. She'd squeeze her hand. Brenda, you've got to wake up. Brenda. I tell my little sister, I said, if any activity happens that where she is not to be resuscitated, that's her standing rule. She does not want it. She had a DNR, do not resuscitate. Yeah, she had a DNR. And it was a Wednesday. My sister calls me. I'm at work. She's like, Mom's awake. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So I immediately go down into the lobby of our building so I can make a phone call because we're not allowed to have our phones up on the floor. And I call her number. And I go, yeah, may I please speak to Brenda? And I hear, no. And I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, who's this? And I go, well, who the F is this? And she goes, it's Turd Bird.
Turd Bird.
And I go, Mom. And she just started laughing. And she's like, baby, how's it going? I go, Mom, I said, you're awake. You know? And she's like, yeah. She's like, son, she goes, I had an amazing nap. I feel so good. I feel energized. I feel the best I've felt in years. And I go, Mom, that's good. You know? And she's like, I just needed that time. And I go, yeah. And she goes, oh, and I talked to your dad. I talked to your brother. And in my mind, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Here it comes. Here it comes. And she goes, son, I just love you. And I want you to know that you're my rock. And I go, oh, Mom. I said, stop. And I said, I hate to end this call. I said, but I got to get back upstairs so I can log out and leave for the day. And she's like, okay. I said, Mom, I'll call you later. She's like, okay. So I hang up. I go home. I call my mom. And they have doing tests on herself. So I couldn't talk to her. They told her that I called, and they said that you can call back tomorrow morning. You know, call back tomorrow. I'm like, okay, not a problem. She's in the right place, right? She's in the right place. She's with the right people.
Yeah.
And so I go to sleep. I talk to my little sister before I go to bed. You know, we talk for a little bit. She's happy, and I'm happy. We're all happy. I wake up. My alarm goes off. I wake up, shut it off, use my phone, you know, and my phone is just blowing up. It's just blowing up. Missed calls, missed messages, voicemails. It's my little sister. And my mom passed away. Less than 12 hours after I talked to her. So I heard my mom say, you know, what's up, Turd Bird, or something like that, you know? And so I know it's my mom. I see more cardinals now than I ever have in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I see female cardinals all the time. I know it's my mom. You know, last year, at a time when cardinals normally aren't around, I had a male cardinal sitting right outside my door, outside my window. I had the window cracked, and I just heard this cardinal. And I heard it, I couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started whistling to it, and it whistled back to me. And next thing you know, I see it move. And there's this male cardinal sitting feet from my window on a branch. And I sat there and I talked to it like I'm talking to you. I'm talking to it. I'm like, hey, buddy, how's it
For the last 3 years, I have, in the spring, like right now, I noticed it yesterday. There's a cardinal that comes around my house. I know that's my mom. I know.
Yeah.
I know that is my mom.
You just feel it.
Hanging out, telling me you're okay, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you. I miss you.
She's here, man. She's letting you know.
I know it.
And bro, my heart breaks for you because I've been there. I lost my stepdad in 2003. I lost my dad the Friday after Father's Day.
Yeah.
In 2014. My last words to him, Dad, I love you, and I'll talk to you next Sunday, because I talk to my dad religiously every Sunday. 2016, around the same time that my dad passed away in June, my little brother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
God damn.
And then 10 months later, my mom passed away.
That's awful, Daniel. I'm so sorry.
And then 2 years after that, I lost two of my cousins who I was super close with. So,
we didn't invite you on to make everybody else cry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. Yeah. Let me. I'm gonna mute my mic if I can. Am I able to mute it? Because I gotta
do what you gotta do, man. You're good.
He said I gotta blow my nose.
Exactly, but okay. We're
it's good to get this stuff out. It really is. So I don't mind at all, man.
Because a lot of people, they have a hard time dealing with it, and it's not a natural thing. You think about your grandparents and your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of prepare yourself for it in a way. You can. But when you get a call about your baby brother,
yeah,
that's just not right, But okay,
no, you're okay. You are amongst friends.
I know.
This is what we do.
How old was your brother?
42.
And he died. He passed how?
A massive heart attack
at 42.
Yep, 42. And what's really weird is 8 days prior to him passing away, he had a widowmaker. He had that one heart attack that 99% of the people do not survive.
So he had 2 heart attacks?
He had multiple heart attacks in his life. He had multiple strokes. But the widowmaker almost took him out. He had 2 stents put in, and then 8 days later, he was going to a routine checkup with a friend of his. And I talked to him that morning. I called him up, and I always called him. I never called him by his name, Hey, Bobby, how's it going? I go, hey, what's up there, Johnny Dangerfield? Or hey, what's up there, Rumpelstiltskin? And he'd call me something back. His was more, blue collar, I guess to say. But hey, what's up, you CSing mother or something? And I'm like, hey, buddy, hey, And he goes, yeah, I'm going to the doctors. And I'm like, why? What's going on? He's like, just a routine checkup. And he goes, yeah, we're heading out to Tennessee this weekend. So I'm going to get all my meds for like the next 90 days. Because we're going to help Mom move to Alabama because she bought a house in Alabama and we're all going to live in the house. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. I said, well, just let me know how things are going. Take it easy. And, I'll call me later. I was getting off early. I had to take my daughter to just a routine doctor appointment. As I pull up in the driveway, my brother's fiance calls, and I'm like, "Hey, let me call you back. I'm taking my daughter into the doctor's office." She's like, "You got to take this call." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Your brother's gone." And so I talked to his friend, and his friend was a medic in the Air Force. And he goes, we're driving, and I hear this noise, and I look over, and your brother slumped forward, and he's having a seizure, and then he just goes limp. And he goes, I pulled over, and I pulled him out, and he started crying, and he's like, Dan, I did everything I could, man. He goes, I couldn't save him. And I'm like, but Okay, let's
Well,
talk.
well, here, let me tell you something, because I was watching it. I don't know if anybody in the chat saw it, but when you started talking about your brother, you had on this shoulder that's facing me, it was like a gold stream of light that went down.
On this side.
Yeah, on that side.
Okay, so
Oh,
let me tell you about that side.
man, you're gonna hate us, man. You're never gonna come back.
No, I love you guys, man. So I was on a podcast called Magical Journey with the host. His name's Daniel, and we're talking, and we're going through the stuff that we've already talked about.
Mhm.
And near the end of the podcast, he's like, Dan, he was like, I gotta ask you, man. I gotta ask you. And I go, what do you gotta ask me? You've already asked me so many things, And he's like, who is that lady? And I go, well, what lady? And I'm looking at the pictures right here. And that's my grandfather. That's my daddy Bob. I called him Daddy Bob. That's my grandpa. That's his flag from his casket. Up here's a picture board from my little brother's wake. Okay. And I go, what do you mean? What lady? And he's like, well, there's a lady standing behind you. And I go, what do you mean there's a lady standing behind me? And he goes, well, she's been there the entire time. And she's so happy. She's just smiling. And I go, well, describe her. So he starts describing her. And I'm like, what? And I said, okay. I said, let me know if this is who you're seeing. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. He goes, that's exactly who I'm seeing. That's my Nana. He goes, she's standing there right now behind you. And I'm like, oh, come on, camera. There we go. And I go, okay, like, really? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So fast forward a couple months, I have a guest on my show. Man, my camera's all whacked out. Come on now. All right, let's go. Okay. So I'm interviewing a guest, and a couple times I didn't really catch it. She said she's sensitive. She can tell when Sasquatch is around. She can sense their energy or whatnot. And I'm like, okay. So at the end of our interview, close it out, and we're talking in the lobby. And I said, it's funny. I heard you mention that you're a medium. I said I was on a podcast and I was being interviewed, and they asked me about, and she goes, the lady that was standing behind you, and she's still standing behind you. And I go, what? And I showed her the same picture. She's like, yeah, it's exactly. And I go, well, who? I said, if this is for real, man, why is my camera? Am I all blurry to you guys? If I'm blurry, I'm sorry.
Just a little bit. It's okay, because I was totally glitching out at the beginning.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Now.
There's my good looks. But anyway, so I go, if you're real, like you claim to be, what did she give me after my grandfather's funeral? And she kind of looked, and you know how they're trying to listen to something. So she kind of turns her head like this. And then she starts pointing to her hand, and she's making a motion like this in her hand. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, she gave you a watch. And I go, no. She didn't give me a watch. And so now I'm thinking, yeah, this is BS, And she goes, no, wait a minute. She goes, I'm seeing a pocket knife. And I go, shut the front door. And I go, really? And she's like, yeah, it's like it's a small pocket knife. She said, but one of the, she's going like this, was it broken? And I go, yeah. I go, one of the blades were broken. And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about that. But that's one of the things that my grandfather used to carry when he was a kid. I mean, he carried his whole life, even through World War II, Korea, Vietnam, when he was in the Marine Corps. He carried that pocket knife with him wherever he went.
Yeah.
And it had one of the blades broken. And she goes, it also gave you a dog, like a small dog, like a puppy. I'm like, no. And she's like, no, your Nana is saying yes, they did. And I'm like, they never gave me a dog. And she's like, she's going like this, like tiny. And I got to thinking, I'm like, oh, hold on. 1 second, I got crazy here. All right, sorry about that, guys. I go, yeah, they did. My grandfather was part of the occupying forces of Japan, and he brought back a porcelain German Shepherd. And I have that upstairs right now on a shelf upstairs. And I said, yeah, she did. And then she goes like again, she's like, I'm still getting this. And she's going like this. And I'm like, what? And she's like, she palmed you something. Like she had it in her hand and there were people around. She didn't want you. She didn't want them to know that she was giving this to you. And she goes, she gave you a ring. She gave you a ring that your grandfather always wore. And I'm like, yes, it was his Marine Corps ring that he always wore. And so I have that. But, that's, so if you saw whatever you saw right there, I mean, if there's a medium in the chat room. Look in this area. Look in this area right here. You might see my Nana standing there. Nana, if you're there, I love you, sweetheart. I miss you. But I'll tell you an encounter that I had. I was probably in 10th grade. I was living, I wasn't living. I was visiting my aunt and uncle in Tacoma. I lived in Tacoma, but I was just happened to be visiting them this weekend. And so I would go and fix myself a bowl of cereal. And I go into the dining room. The dining room had this huge bay window that overlooked the street. And you could see the houses across the street. Well, there was a house that was owned by this lady, and I'll call her Lisa. And her mom passed away. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just, eating my bowl of cereal. And I'm looking out this window and I see a curtain like move. No one is living in this house at the time. House is vacant. And I'm looking, and now I'm like this. I'm like, and I see that curtain pull back, and then it goes back again. And I'm like, put a bite of cereal in my mouth, and I'm sitting there, I'm chewing, I'm looking, and that curtain pulls back like this, and I'm looking at Lisa's mom. She's looking right at me, and she waves, and the curtain goes again. I got up, grabbed my bowl of cereal, put it in the sink, walked right out through the kitchen, out the back door, off the back porch, into the garage, grabbed my bicycle, went through the carport into the alleyway, and rode my bike away from the house onto the other street, rode like 4 blocks down, and then back up towards my house, completely leaving that house in the dust. I did not want to look at that house. I would do everything I could to avoid that house, even though I had to go there at times to see my aunt and my uncle. Now fast forward to 1995, I get out of the Air Force. I drive from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Tacoma, Washington. My dad, stepmom, and 3 step siblings are now living in Lisa's house. Yeah. And I tell my dad about this, and my dad's like, do not say nothing to your sister because she is sleeping in the room that Lisa's mom passed away in. the very room that I saw the curtain open up and Lisa's mom looking at me, smiling and waving. Yeah. I slept down in the basement. There'd be times where I'd hear the door that went upstairs into the attic that was finished out and made into a bedroom. I'd hear that door slam. Okay, now at this time, my 2 younger step siblings were at school. The oldest of my step siblings was working. My stepmom and my dad worked at the same place, and I was not working. It was hard for me to find a job when I first got out of the military. Yeah, I would come up out of the basement and get in my car, and I'd leave, and I wouldn't come home until I knew my dad was home. So yeah, those are some pretty big encounters I had paranormal. My UFO one is real quick one. Like I said, 1988, 89 was the summer before my senior year. Or no, the summer before my junior year, sorry. We lived in a place called Lacey, Washington, which is south of McCord Air Force Base, south of Tacoma. And I was dating this girl, and she came out. We lived on a lake, and she came over one night. My dad was gone. Our roommate was gone, so it was just her and I, and we went down to the boat dock. And we were just kind of laying on the boat dock. We were stargazing, and clear night, no clouds, nothing. And as we're laying there, we feel like this energy in the air. And it's not because of what we were doing. We legit felt energy in the air. And we heard like this low, like a hum noise. Think about anybody out there seen any Star Wars movies, how you hear like the Star Destroyers, how they're just slowly moving through the space. It's kind of similar to that noise, but you felt it, you heard it, and the electricity in the air, the hair on our arms were standing up. Like legit, it was standing up. And so we sit up, and I look back and to the left of us, and at this time it was all woods. And I see pretty far off, I see this light like scanning, going back and forth over these woods. And it freaked us out. We stood up, we left the blanket and whatever else we had on the deck. We left it out there on the boat dock. We left it out there. I grab her by her hand, and we run all the way up through the backyard, in through the sliding glass doors, and up into my room where I slept in a loft. Now, if I looked out my loft, my bedroom looked out over the dining room and living room, but there was like 6 windows above here that I could look straight out, and I could see right down to the lake. I could see the boat dock. I could see above the boat dock. I could see all of it. And as we come in the bedroom, I had these shutters on there, but they were open. And I go and I'm looking to see if I can see this light. And next thing you know, I see this light coming over, and it's scanning and scanning, and it scans right over where we were at on the boat dock. And then I see this thing moving out over the water, and then it goes straight up.
Wow.
It's like gone. And it was probably half a football field, maybe a football field wide. It had like it wasn't like a perfect triangle, but it was like kind of like this, and then it came out wide like this, and it kind of rounded around on the tips, and it came around the back, and it just shot straight up in the air. Like it was there, and then it was gone.
And what can do that? And that's exactly what we talked about when Gabe Lenners was on, is just the fact that these things can just, there's no way that it could be manned. No. Because the G-force would kill them.
Yep, absolutely. So that's my own. It's not exciting, guys. It's not super long. I mean, I could have made it longer by telling you what the atmosphere was like and what color the grass was at the time and what kind of fish were in the lake. But I mean, It just wasn't it. But can I tell you guys a story that when I had my own, I used to have a paranormal podcast called the Paranormal Narrative Podcast, and I covered everything. Well, I got an email from a lady, and that lady was in Germany. And so I got up like at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning to have this interview with her while she was, in Germany. And it was about a UFO. So she was telling me that, this happened in Belgium, which fascinated because I was born in Belgium. And she goes, yeah, one day I was over at my friend's house, and I went outside to smoke a cigarette. And as I was standing out on the back by the back door, she goes, I looked up and I see this huge craft, kind of shaped the way that what I saw, right? At about the same year. Okay. So she said it was the same year. I think she said it was like 87, 88 when that happened. I believe that's what it was. And she goes, I just stood there for a second and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I go, well, how long did you witness this? She goes, about as long as it took me to smoke a cigarette. I said, did you rush to smoke it? She's like, no, I just sat there and smoked it. She goes, about 5 to 7 minutes. That's what she said. And I go, well, what did you see? She goes, well, it was about 300 to 350 yards away from me. And it was about 150 to 200 feet above the ground. So this thing was close.
Yeah.
And she described the lights saw. She said she saw this red beam come out of it. And then she saw 2 other smaller red beams come out and were going like this. And then it stopped. Well, that kind of shook her a little bit. So she turned and went back in the house. She wasn't in the house longer than 10 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, to tell her friends, hey, come out here. There's a UFO. Come and look at this. She went back out and she said it was gone.
Wow.
She could barely make it off because it was just like moving. It was miles away by the time she got back. It was almost gone. Now, here's the kicker. The Belgian Air Force scrambled 2 jets to intercept this thing. Now, where this was sighted was near an area where I was stationed at in Germany. The Air Force base that I was stationed at, it was a German Air Force base. They also scrambled 2 jets. Okay, now I was stationed there years later, right? And I didn't know about all of this until she told me about it. So about 5 months ago, I'm watching TV. I'm watching Unsolved Mysteries. And I'm flipping through the seasons, and I'm flipping through the episodes, and I see one, UFO. Like, okay, let's check that out. You guys, it was the exact same thing that this lady had told me about.
Wow.
To a T. To a T. And people want to say that people make these up. Oh, you're seeing a hot air balloon or a weather balloon. No, because now here's the thing. When they reported on this on Unsolved Mysteries, it was way after the incident had happened.
Right.
So I'm like, holy smokes, this is amazing. So yeah, I mean that's just what I think about that. And I know if we got time, I could tell you one of my Sasquatch encounters.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So when I had my sighting in '84, I knew about Bigfoot. It confirmed that Bigfoot were in Washington State. Super excited, right? But after the invent of the internet, YouTube, getting able to see all these websites and listen to people on podcasts, I made a checklist for myself on things. What are people hearing? What are people seeing? And then I'm hearing like talking. I'm hearing wood knocks. I'm hearing rock clacks. I'm hearing howls. And I'm in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, I've heard all of this stuff before. I heard this way before I ever saw what I saw in 1984. When I was like between 7 and 9 years old, we had gone to this place up near Aberdeen, Washington, a few times, and 2 times in particular. Was the first time I went. I want to say I was about 7 years old. My dad and my uncle, we went to this place called the Hunting Camp, and you had to hike into this place. It wasn't like you just here's this paved pathway to go through here, and it's a defined camping ground. It's not. It's hunters going out in the woods. They find a good spot, they clear it up, they make it their little hunting camp, and they call it a day.
Right.
So we go out here. And the first day, it's just setting up camp. And my dad, we kind of walked around a little bit. And he's like, here's a deer stand that we have up here. You and I were going to sit in this deer stand. And, if you look, here's some trees. There was like a small clearing behind the deer stand because where my dad had the deer stand set up, it was facing like a hill, a gradual hill that went down towards the stream. And he goes, there's intersecting game trails. One goes this way, one goes this way. The one that comes from the left and down through the right, that one goes further down the stream and then goes down the embankment more to where they cross the stream.
Mm-hmm.
The one that comes from right to left goes down the path that we walk up. It's alongside the path, and then it cuts up back up into the left, back up into the woods over here. About 35 feet, yards, whatever, meters behind the deer stand is the tree line. There's thick woods going through there.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained this all to me, right? And so the next morning we get up, and it's not super, super, super dark. It's that time right before the sun starts coming up, so you get that glow.
Right.
So you can kind of see things. It wasn't dark enough where we needed flashlights. So we walk up, and like I said, it's probably maybe I don't know, maybe a half a mile to a mile away from where the camp is.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little longer. And so my dad has his knapsack, and, he has his rifle, and we weren't doing any hunting. He just wanted me to sit up in the deer stand with him. And he had his rifle just in case, because, there are bear up there, there's cougars up there, just in case. But we had no plans on doing any hunting.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up in the deer stand. I get up there, I hoist up the knapsack. My dad unloads his rifle. I hoist it up with the rope. And by the time I get it up, he's already up in the deer stand. He grabs it from me, gets it all loaded up, and he sits down. We're talking, and he gets in his knapsack, and he's looking for something. And he's like, he goes, man, I left it back at camp. And he goes, hey, listen, I'm going to run back to camp. You'll be fine. There's no reason for us to get down, because if anything's out there, if they hear us moving around, they're not going to come around. He goes, just stay up here. You're safe. There's nothing's going to happen to you. I'll be there and back. My dad's my hero. This is my biological dad. I'm like, this guy, he's the giant amongst men, right? So I'm sitting up in there, and this is where I developed a really good habit when I hunted later in life, is I discovered on how relaxing and calm and just comfortable I was in the woods with just hearing everything around me. So I learned how to take naps, very good naps. So I'm in this deer stand, and I got my left foot all stretched out, and I'm kind of just leaning up against the tree, and I'm kind of like this, and I find myself nodding off. No sooner did I feel myself nodding off, I felt my foot jerk. And, you've all had those spasms in your legs where your legs jerk and stuff. So I go, and it kind of jolts me awake, and I can barely see my boot. I can see it well enough that I notice my boot laces are untied. And I'm like, what? So I'm kind of like looking around, and I'm thinking my dad's back. He might be playing a joke on me, right? So I go, and I bend down, I tie my boot up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around, and it's, 10, 20 minutes later, and my dad's not coming around. There you go. I've taken many good, yes, White, absolutely. So I start nodding off again. and I just bring my head down like this. I can feel my chin hit my chest, and my boot jerks again. And I'm like, no. So now it's a lot lighter now, and I'm looking, and it's clear my bootlace is now untied again. And I'm like, Dad, that's not funny. And I'm standing up and I'm yelling, right? And he nothing. So I go and I tie my boot up. Now it's lighter out, and I'm looking, and I got my leg out like this, and I'm looking. I'm laser locked on my boot. I'm like, okay, let's do this again. So then I kind of start going like this, and I hear this loud crack. Like, I don't know what they were. Something was like, got broke super loud off to my right. And I snapped my head over, and I went like this and started looking, and my foot jerked again. And I stood up, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, Dad, stop trying to scare me. It's not funny. Why are you doing this to me? And then I see my dad running up the trail towards me. He's like, what are you yelling at? Stop yelling. And I go, Dad, you untied my boot 3 times. He's like, what are you talking about? I go, you untied my boot. And he's like, son, I didn't untie your boot. I go, Dad, yes, you did. And he's like, Tony, I didn't untie your boot. What are you talking about? I said, Dad, my boot and this. And I explained it. And then I heard a loud noise back there. And he's like, okay, listen, just relax. I'm here. He takes his rifle, puts the lever action into action, chambers around, and he starts walking around the tree where the deer stand is. And he starts walking back into this little clearing that's behind us. Now I'm standing up and I'm holding the tree, and I'm kind of peeking around trying to watch what my dad's doing. He gets about halfway up into this clearing, and he squats down and he starts looking. Well, then he brings his rifle to the ready, and he like pulls his strap in tight, and he starts walking up, and he gets probably about 25 feet, maybe 15 feet from the tree line, and he stops, and he starts backing up real quick. He starts backing up, and he's like, Tony, get out of the tree right now. And I go, Dad. I'm like, hey, he's like, damn it. I told you to get the F out of the tree right now. And so I climb down real quick, and he's like, go, run back to camp right now. I'll be right behind you. And I go, Dad. He goes, GD, I told you to F and run back to camp right now. So I start taking off to run. I'm running as fast as I can, but I stop because I don't hear my dad coming in behind me. So I turn around, and here comes my dad, but he's not running at me. He's moving backwards, and he's scanning like this. He's got his rifle up, and he's scanning back and forth. And he turns around and sees I'm standing there, and he goes, you little mother effer, I told you to run back to camp. So I start running back to camp, and then I hear my dad running up behind me. And so I hear him stop, and he brings his rifle up again, and I'm kind of like jogging, but kind of looking behind me. And now we get back down to camp, and I see my uncle coming, right? And my dad flies by me, and he gets right in my uncle's face. He's like, damn it, Daryl, what the hell are you doing up there scaring Daniel like that? He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, I just got back into camp like 10 seconds ago. I heard you screaming. What's going on? He's like, we got to go right now. He goes, let's pack this shit up and let's go. So we packed everything up and we took off. What did my dad see? I don't know. No clue what he saw. I'm thinking he sees a cougar or a bear or something like that. The thought of Bigfoot didn't even enter my mind because it wasn't really a thing to me at that time. You know, I didn't really learn about Bigfoot until I was like maybe, I don't know, 9, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, fast forward till I was like 9 years old. We go back to the same time. We go back to the same place. But now it's my uncle, my dad, 3 of my uncle's neighbors, and 2 of his neighbors, his sons. And it was me and my little brother. So it was 4 boys and 5 men. And we were just going up there. We're going to do fishing. We're going to shoot guns. I don't know if I told you the story, but this is, if I have, stop me. Did I tell you it?
Start telling it and it'll
Okay.
if you
So like the first, we had to drive like forever to get up there. Then we had to hike, like I said, like an hour into the camp. We were all sleeping in this big military tent. And so the first day, nothing. We heard a howl or something, like a scream way off in the distance, but I didn't really know what it was. I looked at my dad and I go, "Dad, was that a bear?" He's like, "Yeah, I think it was a bear." So, we're shooting guns and BB guns, and I shot a 44 Magnum. And for the first time, my uncle thought it'd be great for me to learn to shoot one. So we eat dinner the first night. We kind of hear something moving around, but can't really tell what it was. Thought it was maybe a bear. The second day, we're goofing off. We're fishing. We're swimming in the stream that's right next to it. And again, this is all in the same area where the deer stand was. Okay. Later, after we got done shooting the guns again, that's when we heard a louder howl that was closer. And I look at my dad again, and again, we're thinking bear. Again, Bigfoot's not coming on my radar because I hadn't heard anything like that before. I'm thinking bear. I've already kind of know what a Bigfoot is, but the Patterson Gimlin film, you don't hear any howls or anything like that. Okay. Yeah. So my dad and I, and everybody, we start cooking dinner, and we eat, we clean everything up, we put everything back up, we put all the food back in the food bags and hoist them way up into trees. And we're all laying down. And that's when we hear a lot of action in our camp. A lot of action. I wake up to the sound. The two other boys are sound asleep. My little brother, he could sleep through a nuclear explosion. It'd be set off right next to his head. He wouldn't wake up. I look over at my dad. My dad's sitting up and he's got his rifle. I'm looking around because we have like a small little lantern, so it's putting a little bit of light off inside this. It's a canvas tent, like a military tent. And I see the other two dads. They're up. They got guns. My uncle and his friend Frenchie, they're sitting in the middle of this tent. One's facing the back of the tent and the other one's facing the front of the tent. They got their rifles up, ready to go. I look at my dad to ask him a question, and that's when I hear something walk, well, maybe hurriedly walking. It wasn't like a methodic walk. It was like moving pretty quick, but it was dragging its nails along the side of the canvas tent, around the back side, around the other side. And I'm like freaking out, and I'm looking at my dad, and I'm about to lose it. And my dad just like, whatever, So I did not go to sleep for the rest of the night. My dad did not go to sleep. The other adults did not go to sleep. So it's the 5 adults and me, 9 years old. I'm wide awake.
Well, I would be too.
When we see light come up, my uncle goes outside and I hear him go, "Dean, you got to see this." Come on, man. I'm a nosy 9-year-old kid. I'm about out of my sleeping bag faster than my dad is, and I come rushing out. Our camp was completely destroyed. There were definite footprints everywhere. You saw them going into the stream, coming out of the stream. Our food bags were untied and lowered or dropped out of the trees. The food bags, if it was in a can, it was still there. But anything that was not in a can was gone. Coolers were destroyed. Camping chairs were destroyed. Everybody starts getting woke up. The kids that were asleep were getting woke up, and they're like, we're breaking down camp. We're breaking camp. We brought everything in on sleds, like deer sleds. So we had 4 deer sleds packed full of stuff. Everything just got thrown on whatever. It wasn't neatly packed up. Kids were grabbing their stuff, and we had to hike back out. It was like an hour hike. It was the way it was lined up. It was adults in front, kids in the middle, and then adults in the rear. It was my dad and my uncle that were in the rear. And we're moving. My brother and one of the smaller kids were having a hard time keeping up. So my uncle grabbed my brother and sat him on a sled. And the other kids saw what happened. And he jumped on one of the sleds too. So now you got an adults carrying all this equipment and 2 kids. And we're hauling ass. But as we're hauling ass, through the woods, I hear my dad and my uncle go, I got one over here on the right. And my uncle goes, I got one over here on the left. Now, they're both Vietnam vets. Out of the 5 adults, 3 of them were Vietnam vets. I watched 2 men that I knew my entire life, 9 years, some of the strongest men I've ever known in my life. I watched them go from being, hey, let's have a good time, let's camp, to like they're walking back in the jungles of Vietnam. They're on high alert. They're hyper sensitive to whatever's going on around them. I remember seeing the embankment that goes up to the logging road that we were parked on. We had 3 trucks that we drove down with all the stuff. Everybody goes up. They just start throwing stuff in trucks, in the bed of the trucks. Boom, boom, boom. I jump in the bed of the truck that's right there as you come off of this trail. My uncle throws the sled in there. My uncle jumps in the back of my truck that I'm in. One of the dads is in the driver's side getting ready to take off. My dad jumps in the middle truck, and everybody else is just wherever. As we start speeding off, my uncle goes, boom! He just starts shooting his rifle. My dad starts shooting his rifle, and they're letting have it. Probably about the 3rd or 4th shot, I see whether it's a stick or a branch, it comes flying from the woods, and it goes right between the truck I'm in and the truck that's in front of the truck that I'm in. If the truck in front of us would have gone any slower, or we would have gone any faster, that branch or whatever would have hit one of the trucks. And we tore off out of there. I don't know if they ever went back to hunting camp. I know I never went back to hunting camp.
I wouldn't have gone back to hunting camp.
But I'm not saying the first encounter I had there and the second encounter I had there is 100% Bigfoot, because I never saw anything. But what did I hear? What did I sense? What could it be?
Yeah, good questions. We're coming up on 2 hours again.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bud. Don't apologize. This is good shit. We're gonna go ahead and get to some questions, if you don't mind.
No.
Tiffany, will you take over real quick? I got to step away.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Chris Blaylock says, Daniel, do you think you give off an energy that brings supernatural to you?
Okay, Chris, good question. Now, here's the thing. I didn't know anything about this negative blood type stuff, but I'm A negative, and a lot of people say because I'm negative blood or something like that, that could be a thing. If that's it, then then sure. But honestly, I don't know what kind of energies that I give off. I really don't know, but I must have, with as much stuff that I've encountered. And
well, I wondered that when you were talking about sitting there eating your bowl of cereal, and Lisa's mom stare at you straight. She knew where you were.
Yeah,
it was a straight on, hey, I'm over here, because she knew that you knew that she was there and you could see her.
I mean, I knew that woman. I remember that woman when I was a little kid, because it's funny, because between her house, there's a brick house. And when my mom and my dad first got divorced, my dad and I, my little brother, lived in the basement of that house.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember riding my tricycle when I was a kid, and I remember her coming out and giving me a cookie or whatever. And I remember I remember her telling me something. She goes, when I got older, she was like, look at you. You just grew up to be a fine young man. She goes, I remember when you were a little bad boy, you would ride around here on your tricycle. And you said one time to me that if there was ever a robber around, you would go and beat them up. And I'm like, what was that? So, but I mean, I must give off some type of energy, Chris.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Scott Trent, have you checked what was on your property before your house was built?
From everything that I've been able to find, this whole area was a field, like a corn, like a farmer's field or something, and it had some woods on it because we have some woods right back over here. Um, we live in a twin home. That's the word I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, I think it's like 48 twin homes in our homeowner association, and they're all built similar. So as far as I know, woods and like field.
Gotcha. David wants to know, what do you think it was that flipped you out of your bed?
David,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you an honest answer, man. I don't know. And when I say I distinctly remember literally coming up off of my bed. So, I mean, I saw a comment earlier, and they said demon.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it wasn't a demon. I haven't had any encounters like that since. Like I said, I've cleansed my house. So I don't, honestly, I don't know. I wish I had a better answer to give you.
Hey, you don't know. You don't know. Let's see. Alan. Sometimes that stuff follows you. I had one attached to me and followed me from Michigan to California, then Bama, then Tennessee.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Stuff can and has attached to people that I know, and it took them long time to get that stuff away from them. That's why when I stopped my paranormal narrative podcast, I deleted the email, I deleted the channel, I deleted every single thing I had to do with that because I was getting a lot of unwanted attention. Activity was kicking off in my house, and I had threatening emails being sent to me by two individuals that wanted me to talk about witchcraft, black magic, the occult, demon possessions, that type of stuff. And that's just not the realm that I want to get into because I believe if you talk about it in a positive energy, you're going to manifest it, and you do not want that manifested.
Exactly. And Troy put this comment. That sounds like a video we watched on a members only recently. The last one we did, because we watch spooky videos together as a family. And so these two men were laying in, one had one twin bed and one had the other twin bed. And one guy was just completely knocked. And this other guy, the door opens, right? And something comes in and has this man by his ankles and no shit, Daniel, picks him straight up off the bed like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, whatever it was had to have been tall. There was no way that this could have been hoaxed. I mean, it just straight up off the bed before the guy even woke up and realized what was happening. He was halfway in the air.
Well, one thing that I was really trying to get a story about when I had my paranormal podcast was the jinn from the Middle East.
Yes,
And
the jinn is
Yeah,
frightening.
they're creepy.
I have friends and I have family that were stationed. One in particular, I have a cousin that was stationed over in Afghanistan and Iraq, and I reached out to him because I know he had been over there. My cousin was an 82nd Airborne, 75th Ranger Regiment. He was a Ranger, and he's also a Green Beret. I've seen all the pictures of him in all of his uniforms with his buddies, his team. And I kept asking him, I said, man, you've been to some really crazy places in the world. I said, have you seen anything like, I asked him about giants. I asked him about the jinn. And he replied back, stop asking. You do not need to open a box that you're not ready to open.
Yes.
Wow.
That's all he said. And when he says something like that, you take it to the bank. He is, even when he was a kid growing up, he was a no-nonsense person.
Yeah.
And when he tells you something, you could take it to the bank that it's 100% guaranteed. So I stopped asking.
I don't blame you. I'd stop asking too.
Yeah.
Enough said.
All right. Daniel, you officially have an open invitation to come back anytime. These shows are amazing. We
Mhm.
get into so much, and it's welcome. We
Yep.
appreciate you very, very much, buddy. You're welcome back anytime. Take a minute or two, or however long, to share anything you want to share, promote anything you want to promote.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. You both have an open invitation to my channel as well. I can't wait to have you both on, individually or at the same time. You guys, if anybody has seen me on these before and you've come on over to my channel and you subscribed, I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate it. For those of you who have not, my channel is called the Cryptid Podcast, right there underneath my name. I'm on YouTube and Spotify. If you have Spotify, please jump on Spotify. Help me out there a little bit. I'm surprised to see that grown as fast as it is as well. So, but yeah, the Cryptid Podcast. If you guys, is it all right if I plug my email if they want to get a
Yes,
hold of me?
absolutely.
Go ahead.
My email, it's the name of the podcast, the Cryptid Podcast 72, the number 7, the number 2 at gmail.com. If you've had an encounter or experienced something that you just can't quite put your finger on and you'd like to come on the show and share it, again, the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. If you want to tell me your story, but you don't want to be on camera, I can facilitate that for you. If you want to tell the story, but you don't want to be on the podcast, I'll be a keeper of your story. It'll go as far as you want me to take it. So
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, and we will be happy to share all of that in the show notes when we release this to podcast.
cool. And also, you guys, it's kind of small, but I have a Facebook page or a group. It's called the Cryptid Podcast. I'm trying to get that built up as well. And on TikTok, the Cryptid Podcast on TikTok. I have one video on there that has 180,000 plus views.
I love when they go viral.
I don't even know what that means. I'm not even monetized on TikTok because I'm still trying to figure that whole thing out. So
I just promote our shows. So
yeah. So, but again, you guys, thank you so much for allowing me to come on and tell you my my stories. Stormy, thank you so much. Again, guys, I'm sorry I got emotional on some of that stuff.
Don't be sorry, dude.
Don't. It's part of it. It's part of it. I mean, you want to share your encounter, you have to share. I mean, there's so many emotions that are invoked with these encounters, whether it be Bigfoot or paranormal or what have you. It's part of it. It's okay.
Yeah, don't be sorry, dude. It was awesome.
I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Yeah. We will be in touch.
Yeah, I'll hang out in the lobby.
Yeah,
you guys
please do.
All right, hey guys, everybody watching, thank you so much. And as I always like to say, remember, you guys, a legend starts with a sighting. I'll see you guys later.
That's right.
Bye.
Bye. Amazing.
Awesome. Why has it not moved us yet?
Because you haven't moved us yet. You know what my grandson being here is?
What?
My grandson being here is called birth control because he's still awake and it's midnight. And she said, Mom, I'm so tired. And then all of a sudden Cooper started freaking out. I'm like, what is going on? Yep.
All right. Well, I'm glad we could be some birth control.
Yeah. She said, you're getting a dog. I'm like, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being respectful, as you always are. The amazing questions, comments, all of that cool stuff. Until we see y'all again, y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.